What about that outing do you think he can apply to today and just maybe going forward this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody they're just trying to you're just trying to get a little bit better. I think it's your starts. He executed pretty good that start. The swings and misses are all, every pitcher likes swings and misses. It's not going to be every one of Jamal's starts, but his strength is obviously like quality strikes. That's what he's good at. So, I mean, I think every time he goes out, it's deliver quality strikes and take your chances.
What's your early thoughts on the dugout remodel?
Yeah, it's been great. Like, I mean, nothing. It's not helping us win games, but it's it's been fine. Yeah.
Why did you want it
Just to create a little more communal feel in the dugout. The dugout tends to be like it's like two rooms almost. It's the top step and the bottom step, and you can't even talk to people in the bottom step, right? And then the bottom edge of the dugout.
With Jameson, last year you complimented him for rough stretch feels like too big of a term, but he really shortened that last year. Is there anything that you saw from his adjustment from game one to game two that feels familiar there?
No, I mean I don't. That's yeah. I think I mean I understand the question, but I think no. I mean, look, our guys we're gonna have rough starts. We're gonna have rough appearances. We're gonna have rough hitting stretches. Your job in the big leagues is to try to shorten them. You can't deny that they're going to happen because they happen to the best of them. But Jamal's got a very, his strength is really good self-awareness. Knows what he's good at. Of course, you're always working at little things to try to get better at the next little thing and give yourself a little advantage of the next thing. But his self-awareness does a lot for him, and it keeps him out of trouble, and I think keeps him on the right path, a large percentage of the time.
You have a whole new bullpen, except for a couple of guys. How long does it take a manager to kind of feel out what this version of those guys are this year and how you want to use them? I mean, obviously, you start like you did, but does that always change in your mind, or do you keep the same formation in your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think you hope it never changes, right? Because that means everybody's really, really performing. But chances are, when there's 8 guys down there or 10 guys, whatever, that deliver most of the innings, it's going to change a little bit. Yeah. So how long? There's not one answer to that. I think you got to just kind of read the room, read the situation, and see what's going on.
And from a personal standpoint of getting to know them, as you did through spring training in Japan, is that still a process for you? The trust factor between.
Yeah. No. I think we're in a pretty good place in terms of that. Yeah, I think we're, like I said, I think I mentioned this a couple days ago, we're 2 weeks in. I think we're in a good spot in terms of how we'd have to use all these guys. If anything, there's maybe a couple guys we haven't had to use enough, which is a good thing. But we've got 2 weeks of good foundation under them, so kind of starting to get a good feel of how they're responding day to day, and they're more in kind of mid-season mode too. So I'm pleased, really pleased from that perspective with how we've started.
When you look at the walks with the group, the bullpen group, obviously too high. Is there something you can point to why this is happening? Is it something you can adjust, or is it just change what we're going to in different situations, or how do you address that?
Well, we've walked. It's very simple. In our losses, we've walked too many people. There's one game but otherwise it's very clear. It's been simple. So it's something that's certainly one place that we have to do a little better at. we don't have like there's not necessarily a track record of high walks from a lot of our bullpen guys. So, you take note of that for sure. But obviously the too many walks is we're gonna have, we gotta examine that and keep an eye on it.
Craig, when people talked about this month and how tough of the schedule it was, did you at least note that all these good teams are warm weather dome teams that are coming in here? And how proud of you, I assume, that your team seems to offensively handle the cold weather. Even last year in April they did well, and these other teams look a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, it's cold, accept it, right? And the other team's playing in it, you're playing in it. Try to somehow create an advantage for them from it. Not going to change that it's cold. That's all you can do. You do your best at that. I think we've done a pretty good job of it. But it's still going to be cold tonight.
Is it just lock it out?
I mean, I think you gotta acknowledge it. I think is the biggest thing. It's like, I really do. I think you have to acknowledge it's going to suck out there tonight. It just is, right? But that's part of it. Not fight it, right? It's going to suck, and it's cold, and then you go from there.
I wonder if opponents take that same attitude.
Yeah.
They're not used to it.
Last night after the game, I thought it was interesting because a couple of players pointed out John Birdie and just between one of his at-bats and the base running, what does it mean to a team when you can have a guy like that in his role and he's adding to where, you know what I mean? Because you can always talk about the stars, but here's some players having an impact.
Well, I think last night was a perfect. There's a narrative of the veteran bench player that sometimes gets overdone, but last night is an example of why that story exists, because this is a play. He hadn't played in a week, and he went out there and in his first at bat created a run on his own, and just through, to me, really instincts, experience, he created a run. And that's why you get guys like that, right? And that's what you hope from those guys that don't play a lot with the nature of our kind of regular lineup. John's been able to he's made a big contribution every day that he's played, and also, like the cold, almost he accepts what his job is, and I think it makes him prepared to, when he's called on, to do his job well, and he's done his job exceptionally well.
Do you have in your mind that Birdie is a guy with a lot of speed that you could steal bases with?
Very good base runner. Yeah, he led the league in stolen bases. People seem to know that, actually, but.
Sorry to interrupt. Is that a focus for you this offseason? Working with Jed Carter of I need a better bench to kind of do X, Y, and Z over the course of a 62-game season?
No, I mean, I'm not primarily. I mean, I think you're just trying to bring in pieces that complement your roster. I think and it's not an unlimited supply of players. I think right, and we thought John was somebody that complemented some guys on the roster, and for that reason was a good fit.